There are roughly 900 scholarly studies of near-death experiences published in scientific and medical journals over the last 40 years. Researchers have found that there is no alternative explanations that can fully explain them away. In fact, there are many powerful cases where there's corroboration. In other words, people are clinically dead, and yet their spirit lives on, and they see or hear things they otherwise would be incapable of seeing or hearing. For example, a 7-year-old girl named Katie was found floating face down in a YMCA swimming pool. She had no measurable brainwaves activity. She had no heartbeat. She was hooked up to an artificial lung to keep her breathing. But somehow, she made a miraculous recovery after just 3 days. And she astounded doctors by saying she'd been conscious the whole time and had actually met Jesus and the Heavenly Father. In fact, she said at one point her spirit separated from her body and she followed her family home one night after they visited her. She was able to give specific details about what she observed, including what her father was reading, how her brother was pushing a toy soldier in a Jeep, how her mother was cooking a meal of chicken and rice. She even knew what clothing each family member was wearing on that night, and everything checked out. The pediatrician who resuscitated her, Dr. Melvin Morse, published her case in the American Journal of Diseases of Children. And then he gathered 8 researchers to conduct a study of children's near-death experiences at Seattle Children's Hospital. His conclusion, quote, "After looking at all the other explanations for near-death experiences, I think the simplest explanation is that NDEs are actually glimpses into the world beyond." And here's the kicker. A Christian researcher named John Burke studied 1,500 NDEs and concluded that if you set aside how people interpret them and you just look at what actually occurs in a typical near-death experience, it's consistent with the teachings of the Bible. To me, the implications are clear. Near-death experiences prove that we have a spirit or soul or consciousness that survives our physical death, just as the Bible describes.